Chairs No Waiting, episode number 746. Thelma Lou retired to Mayberry. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the folks over at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Drop by over at Weavers and check out the Mayberry 101 book, Behind the Scenes of a TV Classic by Neil Brower. Guys, that's something you don't want to miss. There is a rumor, well, it's not just rumor, there's a new version of the book coming out, which will be, I guess, Mayberry 101.2. Anyway, get this one before it's gone. So the new version's coming out. Head over, and also while you're there, if you like books, check out Mayberry's First. That's from Randy Turner, and is also from Randy Turner, 60 Years of Mayberry. Some great books over at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners just like you. The executive producer of tonight's show is Marty Davis, and the Patreon patron of the week for episode number 746 is Mike McGonigal. So thank you, Mike and Marty, and thank you for being here with me in Mayberry. It's always fun to just find something that we hadn't talked about before. Of course, we probably have talked about Thelma Lou retiring to Mayberry. We may have talked about that before. Of course, okay, it was really Betty Lynn, and it wasn't Mayberry. It was really Mount Airy, but you get the idea. So we're going to talk about that because I ran across a story in the Showbiz cheat sheet. It's where I found it. And I think this is something you're really going to enjoy. We'll do that. Then we'll play a little bit of Mayberry trivia and see what else we have time to do. So in the last few weeks, they have been having a auction of some of Betty Lynn's things that were her personal items. They've been doing that to raise money for the Surry Arts Council there in Mount Airy, North Carolina. And I think the auction must have ended today because folks in the chat room were telling me things like Betty Lynn had a lock of hair, like a braid that was trimmed off. That actually went for $200. So I think somebody's planning to maybe clone Thelma Lou. All right. And some of her rings went for a lot. And thank you for everybody who did buy some of that stuff. Not only do you get a memento of Betty Lynn, a wonderful, wonderful lady. So much enjoyed getting to meet her and know her. But you also helped out the Surry Arts Council and just funded the arts programs that they run in Mount Airy, North Carolina. So thank you for both of those things. Definitely something that you're going to, you got a right to be mighty proud of yourself. So congratulations, have some fun and do something good. What's better than that? So this article was in the Showbiz cheat sheet, and it's on cheatsheet.com. The story is called a cast member from the Andy Griffith Show actually retired to the town that inspired Mayberry. So we won't read the very beginning of the article because it kind of repeats itself, but we'll go into this. So Betty Lynn appeared in a total of 26 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. Now, I didn't check that number. I assume that the folks at the cheat sheet actually got that right, but she appeared in 26 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show, and she reprised her role in the 1986 made-for-TV movie Return to Mayberry. Her role as Barney Fife's girlfriend, Thelma Lou, would define her career. As it turned out, it influenced her retirement years, too. Betty Lynn was so taken with Mount Airy, North Carolina, the town that inspired Mayberry, that she opted to move to the area in retirement. And so of course, Mount Airy is Andy Griffith's hometown. For anyone who doesn't know, that's where he grew up, and Betty Lynn would come and enjoy herself there every year. So Betty Lynn was so attached to the role of Thelma Lou that she showed up in Mount Airy every year for Mayberry Days. So Mayberry Days is a festival honoring the Andy Griffith Show, and it's held the last full weekend of September every year. And definitely something that an Andy Griffith Show fan needs to come to. So as a pause from the article, I heard from somebody the other day, they said, I think I'm going to try to make it to Mayberry Days this year. I live 2 hours away and I've just never made it. And I'm like, wow, I've been going up there since 1993 every year. And I live drive time. It's 7.5 to 8.5 hours, depending on if you stop and eat or anything. It's 7.5 hours straight. So I've been going up there for that long. Now, granted, I do dress up like Floyd the Barber and do stuff there during the event. But it's always funny to me that some people have lived within 45 minutes of Mount Airy, have never been there, but they're big Mayberry fans. And I have to question, maybe, are you really that big a Mayberry fan if you've never even, that's a day trip for you. Go up there and check it out. Of course, I know people do that all the time, right? Things that are near them, close by, they never go see those, but they'll go all the way to Florida to go to I don't know, Silver Springs or something, or, of course, Disney World or something like that. But they'll go far away to go to these places, but they don't go to the things that are about 10 or 20 miles from their house because, someday I'll go there. Anyway, there's people that haven't been to the Mayberry Days Festival, but Betty Lynn came every year. Now, Mayberry Days, again, they turn the town of Mount Airy into Mayberry for that full weekend. And you got tribute artists walking around as all the characters. I do Floyd the Barber. There's Barneys, usually more than one Barney. There's Otis, there's the mayor, there's Gomer and Goober and Ernest T. Bass. And there's just Charlene is there. There are so many people along with cast members like Betty Lynn. Betty Lynn was a true professional during her appearances at Mayberry Days. She showed up and she spoke with fans, and then she returned to her home in California. But there was just something special about Mount Airy to Betty. So much special to her that she moved to stay close to the magic. So there is something kind of magical about Mayberry Days, I do believe, that if you're a big fan, that you would really enjoy that. Eventually, visiting Mount Airy once a year wasn't really enough for Betty. In 2007, she decided to move to the town. That's right. According to, the site's called North Carolina Rabbit Hole. She decided to get a fresh start in the quiet, quaint village that inspired the show that made her famous after her home in California had been robbed. She wasn't entirely sold on the idea at first, but Betty Lynn moved to town as a renter to begin with, and eventually she decided she was going to stay and set down roots. She was a resident of Mount Airy when she passed away in 2021. So her home was almost in Beverly Hills. I got to go there one time and pick her up to take her to dinner or lunch, I guess it was. I got to go and pick her up, and she lived, it must have been about a mile maybe from the Beverly Hills Hotel. She didn't live far, but she wasn't actually, I think, in Beverly Hills. She was just basically on the line. But her home had been broken into, I believe, twice. So after the second time, Betty didn't want to deal with that anymore. And she had been to Mount Airy several times, so she decided that she would come on and move to Mayberry and move to Mount Airy. She really didn't have any ties to the area other than the Andy Griffith Show. And, it might seem strange for an actor to move to a town simply because a role they played in a television show once upon a time was in that town or was represented there. But Betty Lynn's decision to move across the country was even more unique when you factor in the size of Mount Airy and Betty Lynn's lack of connection to the area. So Mount Airy is not a huge town. It's a town. It's not a giant city, but it's got everything you need. It's got Walmarts and Staples and food restaurants and all kinds of stuff you might actually enjoy frequenting. There's all kinds of stuff there. It's not a super small town. It's not like it's not the size of Mayberry. It's bigger. It's bigger than what we would picture Mayberry being, but it's not huge. But so Betty Lynn was not born in North Carolina, nor was she raised there. In fact, she knew almost nothing about the state when she was cast as Thelma Lou. And according to this article, her lack of knowledge about North Carolina was a point that, according to that North Carolina rabbit hole site, it annoyed Andy. I never heard that before, but maybe, she didn't know anything about North Carolina. She was born and raised in Missouri. She joined the USO as a teen. She was very young, and you can see some of the stuff that she did during the USO tours in the Andy Griffith Museum. Her stuff is there, and you can check it out. It's pretty amazing. So she joined the USO as a teen and went overseas and entertained the troops. She also appeared in several Broadway productions before settling in California. She bought a home there in California and began acting. So the home, I'm not sure that she still lived in the same home, but I think it may have been the same home that she bought then. And she and her mom and her grandparents lived in that house. They all lived there. So she began acting, and she moved her mother and her grandparents to the West Coast so she could take care of them and be with them from Missouri. While Betty Lynn called California home for over half a century, Mount Airy really spoke to her. The town's a small one with just around 10,000, 12,000 people in the town. Still, it charmed Betty, and it's understandable why. Mount Airy remains a simple and comfortable, and I wouldn't necessarily say quaint, but a nice place to call home. Very nice. Clearly, living in the town made Betty Lynn feel even closer to her character of Thelma Lou, who she once said she never wanted to leave, meaning Betty didn't want to leave Thelma Lou. She really liked that character. So that is the article, and I'll go into just a little bit more about that. Betty really did enjoy going to Mount Airy, and wow, Mount Airy, North Carolina, the Surry Arts Council, they treated Betty like the star that she was. Fans would come because once a month she would sign autographs at the Andy Griffith Museum, and fans came from all over. If you watch some of the stories, there's people drove all the way from Florida. They would drive up. This one man in particular that during the Mayberry meetup last week, we watched a news article, a news report. This man had driven all the way from down in the Florida area near Cape Canaveral, somewhere in that area, and drove all the way to Mount Airy overnight so that he could be there on Friday morning to be at her autograph session. And it turns out he was a policeman, and the Andy Griffith Show and the way Andy did police work inspired him to become a policeman. And he brought Betty not only that story, but also coffee from overseas that he said is the best coffee you can possibly ever get. And he presented it to her during one of those autograph sessions. And that is just a sample story. When you went to see Betty during the autograph sessions, you could easily expect to be in line for 3 to 6 hours because the line began lining up about 3 hours before she even came to the museum to start signing autographs. And then it was easy, a 3-hour trip through the line. So depending on where you were in the line, you'd probably go 3, 4, 5 hours of being in line or something like that. But that's how people loved Betty. The reason it took so long, she talked to every person that came through the line. Thelma Lou did. And while if you're in the back of the line, you really hate that she's talking to all these people. It's taking forever to get through this line. But when you got up there to her and she started talking to you, she spent time with you. and talking to you about where you're from, all those things that made getting to meet Betty Lynn especially special. So she was that kind of person in real life, just like you would expect Thelma Lou to be from the Andy Griffith Show. What a wonderful, wonderful person she was. I got to spend a great deal of time with her over the years. Not as much as, of course, anyone would like, but she was always so nice and pleasant. I got to interview her on the podcast. So if you have not heard it, you can search through the archives at twochairsnowaiting.com. You can search through them and you can find the interview I did, because it would have been about 11 years ago when I went to Mount Airy. And that's how the Mayberry meetup got started, is when I went to interview Betty. So definitely go and check that out if you haven't heard it. I think it's a couple of episodes where we go through hearing from her. But wow, she was the queen bee there in Mount Airy. There was several ladies that she lived in a retirement home area, and she and a few other ladies ran the place. So, wow, it was really amazing. And the Surry Arts Council took great care of her, because they really appreciated all she did for the Arts Council there in Mount Airy. So, folks, that is a great story. I'll put a link to the story in our show notes so you can go and check it out if you'd like to. But I just thought we ought to remember Betty. Her birthday is coming up the 24th of August. So just in about 3 weeks will be her birthday. And, we'll probably say something about her that week here on the podcast as well. But wow, what a special and wonderful lady that she was. And she will be remembered with smiles and laughs and sadness that she's not here. But boy, the memories that she gave us are really pretty special. All right, guys. So pull out your pencils and paper. It's time for some Mayberry trivia. So let's go. Are you ready? Here we go. Question number 1. It's a true or false question. True or false? Mayberry is located in Tennessee. And please don't miss this one. Mayberry, it's the 29th. Her birthday is the 29th. I'm sorry, 29th of August. My brother's is the 24th. Mayberry is located in Tennessee. Thank you to the chat room, Lydia, for correcting me on the date. Thank you very much for Betty's birthday. Mayberry is located in Tennessee. True or false? The answer... Come on, you already knew this. It is false. It is definitely false. All right. Question number 2. Mayberry is located in what county? Mayberry is located in what county? Oh, this is kind of a trick question. You may or may not know it. Mayberry is located in what county? All right. Get your answer. The answer is Mayberry is located in Mayberry County. That's right. Mayberry County is where it's located. Our chat room, Lydia, is telling that her birthday is shared with Betty Lynn's. Happy birthday coming up there, Lydia. Thank you. Let's see. Number 3. Who studied at the Bradbury Business College in Mount Pilot? Who studied at the Bradbury Business College in Mount Pilot? That's a little tough. Who studied at the Bradbury Business College in Mount Pilot? That's a good one. That's a good question. Here we go. What have you got? So the answer about who studied at the Bradbury Business College in Mount Pilot is Howard Sprague. Howard Sprague was the person who did it. There you go. You got it. Congratulations. Number 4, Aunt Bee originally made how many quarts of pickles? Aunt Bee originally made how many quarts of pickles? This should be true or multiple choice, but wow, folks in the chat room jumped on that one right away. Aunt Bee originally made how many quarts of pickles? Folks are in our chat room answering it. If you'd like to be a part of our chat room on Monday nights is when we actually record the podcast. You can come out and do that. And I was wondering what happened to my music. You can head over to live.2chairsnowaiting.com and join in the chat room and have fun visiting with everybody in the chat room. So the answer is 8. 8 is the answer. 8 is the answer. So you can, if you're in the chat room, you'd be able to be playing against other people. 8 quarts. 8 quarts of those kerosene cucumbers. Question number 5. Question number 5. Okay, the question is, it's a true or false question. Big Jack Anderson had a still in the Rimshaw house. Big Jack Anderson had a still in the Rimshaw house. True or false? True or false? Big Jack Anderson had a still in the Rimshaw house. The answer is true. The answer is true. That's right. The answer is true. Number 6. Yeah, he had them in there. He had a still in the Rimshaw house. Big Jack Anderson. Number 6. Who coached Mayberry Little League team? Who coached the Mayberry Little League team? Who coached the Mayberry Little League team? I'm trying to make sure that I don't give away the answers by looking ahead here. Who coached the Mayberry Little League team? Now, this is a color episode. You may or may not know it, but the answer is Goober. Goober coached the Mayberry Little League team. So number 7, who called Goober power mad because of his coaching style? Who called Goober power mad because of his coaching style? Now, this is pretty hard. You may not remember this. You may not know this one. Who called Goober power mad for his coaching style? All right, so I'm giving you a lot of time on these. The answer, who called Goober power mad? He's power mad because of his coaching style. That's right. Here's Floyd. Floyd did. If it was Floyd Lawson did. That's who did that. So the answer is Floyd. The Floyd called Goober power mad. All right, number 8. What did Ben Weaver steal on Christmas Day? What did Ben Weaver steal on Christmas Day? What did he steal on Christmas Day? Oh, that was so funny. I love that episode. What did he steal on Christmas Day? Was it a radio, a sign, a kiss from Aunt Bee, or a bench? The answer is he stole a bench. He stole a bench. Let's see how much time we got left. Let's do some more. All right, we usually only do that many, so that's 8. Here's number 9. Number 9, true or false? Floyd was on the Mayberry bowling team. Floyd was on the Mayberry bowling team. True or false? Floyd was on the Mayberry bowling team. This is another color episode. The answer to that one is false. Floyd was not on the Mayberry bowling team. So that's number 9. Number 10. How many bullets were normally in Barney's gun? How many bullets were usually in Barney's gun? How many bullets were usually in Barney's gun? The answer is 0, none. He didn't have any.
He couldn't put it. Andy makes it keep a bullet in his pocket. Yeah, he makes it keep it in there. He can only take it out in emergencies.
So it was 0 was the answer, or none. I'd take none. All right, number 11. Number 11, just like this year's meetup was, and how many times Miss Clara had won the contest. Number 11, what is the significance of a penny that has been run over by a train? What is the significance of a penny that has been run over by a train? What is the significance of a penny that's been run over by a train? The answer is it's good luck. It's a lucky penny. It's lucky. That's right. It's a lucky penny. And our final question, number 12. Who told Opie, if you touch a bird, it'll die? Who told Opie, if you touch a bird, it will die? I mean, that's crazy. It might stun its growth a little, but it's not going to die. Anyway, who was it that told Opie, if you touch a bird, it'll die? Like I said, it'll stun its growth, but it's not going to die. That's crazy. The answer is, who told Opie, if you touch a bird, it will die? The answer is Johnny Paul. Johnny Paul told him that. So Johnny Paul told him that. All right, guys. How did you do? Did you enjoy yourself? That's the main thing, right? You have fun. Have fun playing the Mayberry trivia. It's always fun for me to play that. So I enjoy it. I don't know if you guys do. It makes me laugh when I think about those episodes as I hear those trivia questions. So, folks, I got some, during the Mayberry meetup, I was presented a nice little Christmas ornament looking thing here from Goober Fife. He gave me this during the Mayberry meetup. It is a barber pole that's a Christmas ornament that he made himself. So I just wanted to thank him for that. And I wanted to thank all the people at the Mayberry meetup, because they had like a raffle and people brought in all kinds of things to donate toward that raffle, that then all the proceeds go toward helping keep this podcast alive. And I just want to let you guys know that we're there, or that weren't there even, that all your items came out to be $849. Originally you thought it was $29, but there was actually another $20 that was given. So $849 toward the podcast. So thank you all very much for helping to support the podcast. And the folks who attended the meetup will be executive producers and stuff for the next few weeks. Not enough to qualify for that much, but we really do appreciate you. Thank you all for supporting me and this podcast, and for sticking it out and being here 20 some odd minutes into the podcast. Thank you for being here with me. It is always a pleasure to be with you here in Mayberry, and I enjoy it so much. I hope you do. Man, all these years we've been doing this since 2008 right here in Mayberry. Folks, I'd love to hear from you. You can give me a call at 888-684-8415. Email me at floyd@imayberry.com, or drop by over 2chairsnowaiting.com. And all that information is there. You can find out how to get in contact with me, leave messages there. I would love to hear from you. You hear from me every week. It's a lot of fun for me to hear from you. So, folks, I want you to have a great Mayberry week. And until next time, when we gather right back here for 2 Chairs No Waiting. Good night, everybody.